Ladies and gentlemen, how can you not love this sport? How can you not love this sport? We said it in the last video. The Champions League gets me excited. It gets me excited. I watch these games and it feels proper. It feels proper. 18 games, 36 teams, top 8, top 24, all to play for on the final day, all at once. Let's discuss. Of course, as I always say, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the post notification bell so you never, ever miss out on a video. If you guys are new to the channel and you like what you see, make sure you share with those who you think might feel the same way. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I cannot do it without every single one of your help. So as I said, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and never miss a video. Where do you even begin to discuss that sort of game? Or the games? Because 18 games at once, obviously I did not watch every single game. I had the Golasso show on, essentially just showing me every single goal that was going in as the day went on, and it's still going on now. Real Madrid literally just lost to Benfica. And goodness me, I don't even know where to go. I think the best place to start is with the table. Let's just go to the table, how everything panned out, how everything went, and what this means for the next round of the Champions League. Of course, we knew the top two was going to be Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Coming into the round, it was inevitable whether they won or lost. I think nobody was really going to catch them going into this final stages of the competition. Liverpool beating Karabakh 6-0, routine, comfortable, easy. We all knew that was going to happen. Florian Wirtz continuing to play well for Liverpool. Ekitike continued to be an incredible player for them. Mohamed Salah scoring once again. Liverpool, everything's going well for them in the Champions League. We can talk about the Premier League performances, and I probably will talk about that in another video, but today's not about Liverpool. Not about Liverpool whatsoever. You continue going down the list, you talk about Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham, how they've managed to qualify in the top 4 of the Champions League despite being, I believe they're 14th in the Premier League at this time of recording, is completely and utterly beyond me. Barcelona in 5th position. It was a bit cagey from Barcelona in the opening stages of the game. First half was terrible, went 1-0 down. Once again, that defensive line showing you that this team is not going to go far in this competition. Lamine Yamal, for me, was the best player on the football pitch, along with Dani Olmo, who, him and Fermin Lopez, we continue to say this thing at Barcelona, it's a huge juxtaposition. Neither of them can play well at the same time. It's either one is playing well and the other is injured, one is playing well and the other isn't playing well, one is playing well and the other is suspended. They can never play simultaneously well at the same time. But today, Dani Olmo was incredible. Lewandowski didn't have his greatest game. The defense was poor once again. But it does not matter. We are in the next round. You continue scrolling down. Chelsea got a big win in Naples. And I think that's a huge victory for Liam Rossinier and Chelsea going into the next round, going to the Serie A champions in Naples and beating Antonio Conte's men is no easy feat. And I'm pretty sure that defeat for Napoli puts them out of the running for the top 24. Yes, they finished in 30th position. A poor Champions League campaign for Napoli. And to be very honest with you, it ties into a much bigger conversation and debate surrounding English football and Premier League teams in the Champions League. Because you look at a team like Napoli, who, as I said, are the Serie A champions and are one of the contenders for the Serie A this season. They lost to a Chelsea team today who really and truly, in these last few weeks, yes, they've had a few good run of games ever since Rossinier came in, but they've not been the best team in the world this season. And if I'm being completely honest, I felt like Chelsea controlled that game for the most part. Of course, they had a few rocky moments as every young side does in the first half, but in the second half, they kind of just took the game away from Napoli. You keep on going down the table, Sporting Lisbon with a last-minute dagger against Athletic Bilbao. Bilbao, another team who's been so poor in the Champions League this season after qualifying last year, after finishing in the top 4 in La Liga. La Liga sides really making a mockery of the Champions League this season. Athletic Bilbao, Villarreal, both not even making it to the top 24. Atletico Madrid finishing 14th. We'll get onto them. But Sporting Lisbon, we saw that win against Paris Saint-Germain last week, and Paris Saint-Germain will get onto you. Big win for them in this game, going away, picking up those 3 points, and they qualify automatically. Manchester City, despite losing to Leverkusen and losing to Bodo Glimt in this league phase, they still somehow found a way to qualify automatically. And I think that's what it shows you about this league phase type of way of the Champions League, that you don't need to be incredible every single week to actually win or actually get to the top 8 or finish in a good position, because ultimately it really just comes down to how teams are doing around you. And Manchester City, they make the top 8. Real Madrid, we'll get onto Real Madrid. Inter Milan beating Dortmund 2-0, DeMarco free kick. Lovely. We talked about Inter Milan in the last week. I think this team is just a steady Eddie team. I don't think they're going to go that far in the Champions League. I think once they meet a team that's actually better than them or a pretty good team, I think they're not going to go that far. But going to the next round in that playoff position, they did all they could, but it wasn't enough. Newcastle and Paris Saint-Germain played out a 1-1 draw. And I said it in the last video. Paris Saint-Germain, and some of you people in the comments, you agreed with what I was saying, and I was happy to see that because Paris Saint-Germain this season are not the same team they were last year, which is why when I look at that game that Barcelona played against them earlier in the season, I continue to scratch my head because that was a Paris Saint-Germain team that was there for the taking, and Barcelona did not take that opportunity. Pair that with the fact that they had injuries upon injuries, and Barcelona still somehow found a way to lose that game. Probably tells you everything you need to know about Barcelona this season. But in this game, Newcastle, for me, I thought they were going to lose this game, if I'm being completely honest. And in those first few minutes, Paris Saint-Germain were creating chances, causing chaos. They missed a penalty. Somehow they missed a penalty. Ousmane Dembele, Ballon d'Or winner, missing a penalty in a big game. And Newcastle just grew into the game. I thought they looked resolute. They defended well. They had a few chances of their own, scored in a goal that was disallowed in the second half. And really and truly, they could have left this game with all 3 points. Paris Saint-Germain not looking that good. But again, this Champions League phase, it's very forgiving. You can have a few bad days. You can have not even a few, many bad days. Paris Saint-Germain only winning 50% of their games in the Champions League this season, and you can still qualify in the playoffs. And I believe if my math serves me right, they're probably going to come up against either Monaco or Karabag. I think that's how the seeding works. So 9th would play against 24th and so on and so forth. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Continue going down. Atalanta falling out. Leverkusen making it after a big win against Villarreal. As we talked about, Villarreal just making a mockery of themselves in this Champions League despite being 4th in La Liga. The 4th best team in La Liga, finishing with 1 point in the Champions League. Hey man, Borussia Dortmund continue to be that team that I say just take up space. They don't really achieve anything. They don't really disgrace themselves. They're just there. They're going to be in the next round of the playoffs. Olympiacos with a big win in Amsterdam to qualify in the top 24. Club Brugge as well. Big win over Marseille. And Marseille completely fall out of the Champions League entirely after that loss. And we talked about it with Roberto De Zerbi's sides. His sides are way too expansive. They played against Liverpool last week, and that's a Liverpool team that have been in poor form for many, many games, and they lost pretty comfortably. So I'm not too surprised that they've fallen out completely, but even then, getting 3 wins, 9 points in 8 games, they've had a few tough games here and there. Falling out completely seems pretty harsh, but that's just the name of the game in the Champions League nowadays. Continuing on, you got Galatasaray, Monaco making it through. Monaco making it through is very surprising to me. They've been very poor in this Champions League group stage, but somehow they made it through. Bodo Glimt, 2 wins in their last 2 games against Manchester City and Atletico Madrid are ultimately the only reason they're qualifying. Only picked up 3 points in their first 6, but somehow sneaking through. And Benfica finish it off. And that's where we're going to finish on. Benfica versus Real Madrid. Now, coming into this game, I believe Real Madrid had 15 points going into the final game, and Barcelona had 13. So in my mind, and going away to Benfica, I knew Benfica had been in decent form in the Champions League. They've taken a few big scalps. They've had a few good performances, but I never expected Real Madrid to lose this game. Nowhere near. Of course, Arbeloa has come in. I won't say they've looked better. I feel like when the bar is as low as it was under Xabi Alonso, anything that looks better is going to be deemed as good with Real Madrid. And then you have all the gimmicks going on at the football club where it feels like every little good thing that happens, we need to hype it up. Just chill out. Today was a huge humbling performance for them. Jose Mourinho once again laying his marker in the Champions League, laying his marker in Europe, leading this team from a team under Bruno Lage that looked completely and honestly out of it. They didn't look like a team that was going to do anything in this Champions League. And now they've qualified in, I believe it's 24th. And they're going to come up against Real Madrid themselves. Probably they're going to come up against Real Madrid. If I have the seedings right in my mind, they're probably going to come up against them in a 2-legged affair, which should be interesting to see. We've seen it throughout the season that Real Madrid are not the best team. Of course, you'd expect Real Madrid to be the favorites for that game, but it's not smooth sailing. We've seen it throughout the season. It's not going to be smooth sailing for them. Tonight, 2 red cards, Rodrigo and Asensio. Mbappe scores 2 goals again. But I need to keep on making this point. You can score 50 goals, 60 goals, 70 goals. If your team is winning 0 trophies, if your team is losing games, if your team is not playing well, I'm sorry, I can't look at you as the best player in the world. I'm sorry, I just can't. He may be the best player in terms of the individual play. He may be the best player in terms of what he brings as a single player to the squad. But I'm sorry, there is no way Kylian Mbappe is the best player in the world. I'm so sorry. If you believe that, then you just watch individuals. Because the fact that this man is coming to this team and the quality of this team is completely fallen off a cliff is, I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know. That just tells you everything you need to know about this team and Kylian Mbappe. He scores 2 goals again tonight. Not really the best of goals, not really the best of performances from Mbappe. And ultimately, Benfica win. And the defense of Real Madrid tonight just completely and utterly played around, dragged from left to right. They look completely out of the game. And in the final moments, you're watching the game. All the games the referee's blown the final whistle, and it's looking like Benfica are going to fall out of the Champions League despite beating Real Madrid. Real Madrid, a team who coming into the final day, I had already bookmarked them as top 8. Because I was looking at it from a Barcelona point of view. I was thinking, Barcelona, as long as we win, then we will make it into the top 8. But we just need a few teams to do us a favor. Ultimately, tonight, Chelsea won, Sporting won. But luckily, it was PSG and Inter and Newcastle who did us a favor. By the way, that goal from João Pedro, I'm seeing it now on the TV next to me. Incredible goal. Genuinely, Chelsea had a great performance tonight. But as I was saying in regards to Real Madrid, ultimately, that last-minute goal was scenes. Genuinely scenes. For Benfica to need 1 goal to qualify for the final 24, for Benfica to be playing against 9 men, for Real Madrid to need a goal to qualify automatically for the round of 16, and for your goalkeeper to come up from the other end to score that goal, to win you the game, and send you into the playoff round of the Champions League. I mean, what else do you want? What else do you want? Jose Mourinho's running down the touchline like it's 2005 again. Sporting Lisbon scored that last-minute goal. Chelsea sealed their way into the next round of the Champions League. Come on. What else do you want from the Champions League? It's an incredible competition. The best players, the best teams, the best managers playing it out. And honestly, this league phase, this final 2 games where everybody plays at the same time and there's so much jeopardy and everything's moving and everything has consequences. This is cinema, man. This is cinema, honestly. Honestly. Let me know what you guys thought about all the games. Who were you watching tonight? I had to keep an eye on everything. I had a few friends, they were doing a bit of dodgy things, They were putting some parlays. They were putting some parlays in. They were trying to make some generational wealth. I don't know. I have to go and check in with them whether any of that came to fruition. But all jokes aside, let me know what you guys thought about all the games tonight. Who were you watching? Which team, which game did you watch? Who were you rooting for? Who were you, fingers crossing, would drop points or lose tonight? And what do you think is going to happen in the next round of the Champions League? I'm looking at some of these fixtures we might get. I'm looking at a Real Madrid versus Benfica. You're looking at Paris Saint-Germain once again failing to qualify in the top 8. Newcastle, Juventus, Atletico Madrid in the playoffs. It might get tasty, man. It might get tasty. And then funnily enough, in the top 8, you're looking at some of these teams. Liverpool, they've not been good this season. And somehow they've qualified for the top 8. Tottenham likewise. Barcelona. I can make a whole video talking about how bad Barcelona have been in the Champions League this season. And somehow we finished 5th. Chelsea, who I don't even think have been that great in all competitions, they finished 6th. A team that beat us 3-0 earlier in the competition, and that was their Champions League. We still finished above them. Sporting Lisbon, a great story. After Ruben Amorim left them, you thought that club would kind of just meddle back into obscurity, qualifying for the top 8. And Pep Guardiola getting his team back on track, qualifying in the 8th position. So, Champions League is shaping up nicely. And now we have the playoff round coming up. As I said, I'm not too sure whether the seeding is what I think it is. My opinion is there's going to be 9th versus 24th, 10th versus 23rd, and so on and so forth. But I don't know how it's going to look. Let's see what happens. I'm sure the announcement will probably come out in the next few days, the fixtures, the dates, and I will be here to discuss every single one of those. But as I said earlier, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoy what you're seeing on the channel, let me know. If you don't, put it down in the comments as well what you'd like to see. Hit the post notification bell so you never ever miss out on a video. And as always, take care of yourselves. Man, I love the Champions League. God, how can you not love this sport?